I'd like to welcome you all to the talk, the third MET talks. It will be on the topic of AI in architecture, done by Mr. Laurent Lescop from the University of Nantes. And thank you very much for coming. And we are happy to hold you at our meeting.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I will share my screen. I've got a second computer from which I will project. I hope it's okay. I hope you can hear me. So I put the title, Please Draw Me a House. And it's a reference to, the little prince from Saint-Exupéry. And you will see why in a minute. This is a projection from Warsaw, if you've been there. It's Warsaw maybe in the future, maybe in 20 years or something, that has been done by AI. I don't know how much you're aware about this topic, so maybe we can have a conversation, or you can just wave and say, please, I want to say something, or I do not agree with you, or something like that. Be free to interrupt me whenever you want to if you want to say something. So it's okay, let's go. I don't know if you do remember what you were doing this 3rd of November last year. I don't know if you still remember, sometimes dates, and I don't know if you do remember this date, but this date was the official and public launch of ChatGPT. And if you do remember, it has been a huge event, and it's been around the press, and you see that in only 5 days, it reached 1 million users. It was really a wow thing. And after a few months, like you see in February 2023, 100 million users were already connected to ChatGPT. So the question is this AI, and we will not really talk much about ChatGPT, but more about text to image. Is it really a game changer, or is it not? And how would it affect our work as architects? DALL-E followed, and Midjourney followed exactly the same curve. As you see, it was launched in 2022, and very, very fast. Thousands of users and then millions of users were connected to ChatGPT and DALL-E, and really makes something. I don't know if you do remember this video. I will show it to you. This video has been released last year, and it really went viral very fast, because they were saying that AI is foreseeing the future of humanity. And it was like a stretch that the future of humanity was a robot, or was a human thing that will occur. And what is funny is that artist Fabio Comparelli said, it is not picturing the future. It's not art, it's just art. But as it was attached to artificial intelligence, everyone thought that it was the truth, and it was really the future. And then in a press, they had to explain the difference between art, artificial intelligence, and foreseeing the future.
Intelligence-generated video that's gone viral, predicting the evolution of mankind. Catalina, truth or fake? Tell us more about this.
So it all began with this post right here by Counter, a magazine that's an online culture magazine. The post reads, "What happens when you ask an AI to generate human evolution?" This is terrifying, accompanied by this video that we'll show in a bit, where we see this robot for now. So this was posted on October 18th, and it's reached over 42,000 retweets and 11 million views, so making this video extremely viral. We have the video right here for you that goes together with the post where we see this human evolution from a man to caveman. Then this becomes a medieval man that later turns into a modern day man with an iPhone right here. And then this man just slowly becomes a robot or a cyborg. So the scary evolution of mankind allegedly in an artificial intelligence prediction of mankind. So this tweet became extremely viral. Even the former CEO of Twitter retweeted it right here. Jack Dorsey, he retweeted this tweet by Counter Magazine. We have some reactions right here. Some saying, "I will have nightmares." Some saying, "This is scary, really." So many users were actually frightened by this alleged prediction made by artificial intelligence.
I think it's quite funny, but that's just me. Catalina, who created this prediction based on artificial intelligence?
There's a problem right there, Mark, because this video was published by Counter Magazine and it shared over 50,000 times. And the author of this video, which they did not credit, said so himself that this video is quite misleading, this post. This is actually a result of, this video is actually a result of this artist's imagination right here called, this is the artist's name called Fab Dream, who is an artificial intelligence generated specialist in art made by artificial intelligence. And we could see the post right here that was on the viral acclaim on Twitter. So following these publications by Counter Magazine, this artist went to Twitter firstly to denounce the fact that they posted his video without giving credit to his work, saying, "Is it a new trend to publish a media without even worrying about mentioning the author?" But then given how viral this post became, he posted this on his Instagram stories, is saying, "If anyone wants to repost this video right here, please mention his name and don't write the caption that we saw on Twitter." This is what happens when you ask AI to predict human evolution, since it can scare some and is misleading. He also explains how artificial intelligence works, saying, "I clearly influence and indicate to the AI what type of image I want and at what time, so that this is just a result of his imagination." So as he well says and explains how AI works, this is based on human work, as the human is the director of the scenes produced by this AI algorithm. So here's just another example of his work, another product of this artist's imagination.
But it's upset that it's been ripped off, and whilst there's always been content, there's always been people getting ripped off, so that's quite an old concept, really, isn't it? You contacted this artist. What was the creator's response then to those who were sharing his work without giving him credit?
As he well said, he was not happy with the fact that they did not credit his work. So given how viral this story became, the artist wanted to remain discreet. It's quite scary out there on social media when something becomes viral. So we asked him, how do you respond to these who stole your work? And he says that, "I find it sad that an artistic creation is separated and exploited from its creator just to create its own buzz. But most importantly, he says that going viral has become than the information itself." So just a little lesson right here on the personal
I'm sorry. I was trying to solve. I think the sound of the video is getting back on my mic. That's why. Okay, so you got the point. And maybe in the future there will be this sentence for architects: "Please draw me a house," meaning that we maybe will not draw our houses, but somebody will do it for us, or the machine will do it for us, like the magic of the Little Prince. Let's go further. It's funny to say that back to the past. If you take some quotations from Ruskin, for instance, from Morris, from Oscar Wilde, and you replace photography by artificial intelligence, it works. It works pretty well. You can say artificial intelligence is a mechanical instrument which is capable of producing images of great precision and detail, but is incapable of reproducing the spirit of nature. Or you can say, like Maurice, artificial intelligence is a wonderful invention, but it's not as a form of art. Or say, like Oscar Wilde is an art form and has the potential to be very beautiful, but is often used a banal way. So it is interesting to see that centuries ago, we still have exactly the same way of seeing the future or seeing new technologies. By that, it's interesting to go back to that to see what kind of changes or game changer we had. And one of them is, of course, the Jacquard machine, because it's really the first computer. And it did exactly the same thing, meaning that it's like a computer. You had those cards, to program the machine. And it took the jobs of maybe thousands of men and women that were knitting and knitting by hand, and the machine took over. So it's quite the same history, but who wants to knit by hand now? And you also have of course, the analytical engine by Babbage, and which has been developed by Ada Lovelace. And you know that Ada Lovelace now is well known. She has been put aside for a long time because she was a woman. She died young, but she did make this machine work because Babbage was unable to make it work properly. And so we talked about ChatGPT, but the concept of a machine that writes text is already in Gulliver's Travel from Jonathan Swift. And in the third travel, you've got this description of this machine that can write text automatically and with random words and so on. It's interesting to see that the concept was already in the air. And of course, you've got the literature of Italo Calvino, because Calvino wanted to play with the structure of the text and really wanted to see what would happen if you just do this kind of what we call Oulipo, when you've got some small parts of text, that you assemble the random way, and what kind of text would it give? It's pretty cool, close what ChatGPT does, but you know that ChatGPT is working with statistics, and it's not working with the meaning, with the sense of things, and that's what also Calvino was trying to experiment. If we go to artificial intelligence, of course, we bumped on the name of John McCarthy, who designed and the concept of artificial intelligence. And I love this sentence when he says that artificial intelligence is not by definition the simulation of human intelligence, of course. But it could be very useful for us as architects to maybe work on energy efficiency, better design, future buildings, and so on, smart cities. So, and the question we will have, the philosophical question that we will have to deal with is it better? And optimization, is it synonym to a better design? And there is those two words, optimization and design. Are they going together or not? Are we looking for optimization or something else? We've got a context, and this context is not very pleasant for architects and for the construction industry, because we can see on this report from McKinsey that construction, it at the very, very low, very, very bottom of all industries in terms of innovation and use of digital technologies. Agriculture, forestry, fishing, hunting is better than construction. Mining is better than construction. And of course, oil and gas, and obviously information and communication technology. So we are very, very low on that. So what is happening? Why are we so low? Of course, you can say that on the field, on the construction site, you cannot really use your computer to add bricks one on top of another. That's right. But it's also the design. And what is interesting to see that you've got a kind of milestone every 10 years. And every 10 years, you've got something new, like the rising of computers for everybody, the use of the first digital tools like AutoCAD, then BIM, then generative design, and then artificial intelligence. And what we can see is that in architecture, we are often 10 years behind. So when it comes to be popular, then we are 10 years behind. Maybe not you, I think not you, but generally speaking, we can. So it could be interesting to compare, as you are coming from different countries, do you feel the same? But in France, it's really the case that we are 10 years behind, that now we are discovering BIM, just discovering. And maybe in 10 years, we will be discovering Grasshopper, and and maybe a bit later we will have AI. Just to be sure that we are sharing the same concept, just to recall everyone that what we are talking about. So we've got those steps. The first is start modeling, meaning that what we draw with the computer is very similar that what we do by hand, meaning that a line remains a line is a line, and nothing but a line. And then you've got parametrism, meaning that you've got objects that you can change, but a stair, for instance, remains a stair, but you can deform it, you can change the shape, and the computers know that it is a stair. Then you've got computational design. It's always very hard for me to say this word, which is like Grasshopper, or it's like, and then you know that you describe your object by characteristics, and then you can parameterize things and deform things by the way that it is created. So it's a way to telling a story, and I love Grasshopper, because it's like, what kind of story will I tell, and how will I tell the story? And I love to see others Grasshopper definitions, because I know how do they work, and it's like reading, a story. And then you've got generative design. Generative design means that you are looking for a solution, maybe optimization, and then you've got hundreds and maybe thousands of solutions at disposal, and then you've got to pick one from those. And in the end, and where we are now, it's artificial intelligence that then we've got several ways to create images or more. And then it's more like a dialogue that we have with the machine. So maybe with artificial intelligence, we've got now two branches. One is for concepts, like maybe sketching and trying to find a solution. And the other branch is optimization. So we will go through those two branches. Or maybe you've got something to say, or any questions, or maybe you say, no, I do not agree with you. That's okay. So for design, I will go through a few tools. So I showed this picture in Warsaw when I came to Warsaw to do my lecture, and because I love it very much. It's a kind of research we've done with my PhD student, and the idea was, can you show me Nantes, our city, in 10 years, maybe not 20 years, but 10 years, where the water will be rising and we will be floated by water. So they were saying maybe in 50 years, but they say no, let's say 10 years. And you've got 3 groups of images, and I think this is fascinating. The first group, it's like a disaster. You see people walking the streets that are flooded, and so it's like a catastrophe. And then in the second group of images, so we carry on prompting, saying, okay, go on, describe the future of the city and how will it be? So you can see some basic constructions that people are adapting on the situation. And oh, you can see our giant elephant, a kind of image of our giant elephant here. And then further in the future, you know, the city has adapted, and then it seems to be very comfortable and very cool to be bathing in the water. You've got no more cars. It seems to be cleaner than it has never been before. So it's like an ideal city. So maybe the rise of water is not that bad. We will see. So how do you prompt? I think you know that you've got to write sentences, and then you've got some tricks to make it more effective. Like if you put brackets and then you add some words like chaos, repeats it, and so on, you will have better results doing that. But you know, I think you know that it goes very fast, and this now is embedded into interface that makes things very much easier. So what can you use? You've got two lead application that I assume that you know. Midjourney is one of them, but Midjourney it seems to be the best at the moment, and you know it's a race between all engines. Midjourney remains the best, but you've got to pay for, and it's quite expensive because it's like $10 or €10 for I think it's 5,000 images, prompts, images by month. And this is not a lot. And then you will have to pay €30 or $30 for unlimited use for Midjourney. But Microsoft has done something huge. It's integrated into Bing now, into Bing Research. So if you use Bing, you've got the free version of the late DALL-E system. It is free, and since a week or 2 or a month, not very long, you can also use Bing Conversation, which is very close to ChatGPT, and Bing Conversation, in fact, is ChatGPT 4 or 4 as far as I remember. And you can type in ChatGPT, and then during the conversation, you can say, okay, create for me an image of this and that. And then you will have the image in the conversation. And this is totally free. And you've got also platforms that allows to be very comfortable in the prompting. For instance, this one, Leonardo is very good because you can see others' prompts. If you click on images, you've got the prompt, because you know at the beginning the prompt was the very value of the image, because when you are good in prompting, then you are good in creating images, and so it makes the difference. Now with Leonardo, you can see others' prompts. How did they do? How did they describe their images? Sometimes you've got a long sentence, sometimes very short. But it's interesting to practice to see what kind of prompts you can use and how does it work. So with Leonardo, you've got 150 credits every day. It runs fast because for each image you use 10 credits, something like that, or sometimes less, sometimes more. And so it runs very fast, and you lose your credits very fast, and then you can pay, but it's quite expensive as well. I have discovered this platform, which is super interesting. It is Zoo. Zoo is open source, so it's totally free. And it's from the same prompt, you've got the result from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, like 8, the 8 or 9 different engines, and so you can compare the results that you could have with this and that, for instance, with Stable Diffusion or SDXL or Kandinsky or others. So this is totally free. You don't have a lot of freedom. You can't do a lot, but you can use it just to practice and to see what kind of, just to see the differences between the engines. And sometimes I must say I got good results. It's like Civic AI. It's interesting because you can see others images as well. So you can be inspired by the prompts, and then you can put your own. It's less good than Leonardo, but still interesting to see. I've been surprised that you see, because it really depends on the platforms, but this one, you can see a lot of nudities, and as it was banned before, so it's quite surprising to see that here they did open it to nudities, and whereas it's banned on other platforms. Dream Studio is always is also interesting, and you can choose from several styles. You also have credits, and then again you will lose very fast your credits because the results are quite interesting, and so you will be running out of credits. So you will have to create new, new mails address to be able to reconnect. But I love this platform. I had very good experience with that. This one, Garden of Eden, is super. I really encourage you to test it. It's very nice because you have several ways of creating images. Again, you've got some credits. Now I'm running out of credits. I've got to create a new mail address to continue my testing, but you can create some images, you can transform images, you can create some films, you can do a lot of very creative things, and the results are very exciting. What is popping out is super, very good. I loved it. And you can make this, for instance, I took this photo of Warsaw, and then by just changing the like the ambience or the light or the style and so on, it creates a new world from the photo that you were taking from. And this is another example, and it's mixing styles. I really like it. It's like something I can imagine that 2 years ago it would have been so hard to do that with 3ds Max or Blender. Of course, it would have been possible, but it would have taken so much time to do that. And then to click on a button and it's done. So it's really fascinating. And this is the kind of animation that you can do with that. So you can do that either from 1 or 2 prompts, saying that I'm starting from that and I will go to this point. For instance, I was saying from a platform to a landscape and with a balloon. And this is the result. It's always surprising. And I like this one too. Maybe you guessed that I worked on balloons. Was my subject. And you can, I think this was done with Leonardo. I remember, because this is another branch of animation. You saw the one before, it's mixing different images and you go from one image to another. And now the what you see the most is that trying to have something from one image and animation in one image without deforming or without changing anything. So it's only eight seconds. So we are talking today, November 2023, and we will say that November 2023, we could go for 8 seconds. Maybe next year, if we talk next year, maybe we will have a whole film of 1 hour of animation because it goes so fast. But then now it's only a few seconds. If you're into 360, you can use this platform to do 360 images. It was free at the beginning, but now it's pay. You've got to pay for it. It's not very expensive, but it's not free anymore. What is also interesting in that you can take those images and go into 3D. So if you use that with a headset, you will have a kind of 3D sensation of space. And now 3D, going from 2D to 3D is the new big thing and what we are waiting for. So you can test the first attempt on that platform, CSM. On that platform, you just upload your image and then you generate the 3D model and then you generate a refined model. Depending on what you feed, it can be okay or it can be very bad. For characters, it can be okay if you got a character. So you can prompt to get a character and then you can rearrange in Blender, for instance, because it will give you a mesh with texture, and then you can put a skeleton on it and animate it. So for some objects, it's working properly. For instance, with for this house that I thought very easy to do, wasn't that good. But it's the very beginning of it. And maybe you saw this for Blender, and you've got very good results for D5. I think you know this render, free render, which is D5. Is it D5? Yeah, D5. Confusing. So with D5 is a very, very good render. So you put your SketchUp, your raw SketchUp, you just launch D5, and then you will have a very nice image. And the idea here is to use, as it is possible in Blender now, and also in Revit, and also in SketchUp even, you can have your very rough model, and then you prompt, and you say, I want to have this and that, and you describe the scene, and then you will have a render using this AI thing. So it's very interesting just to experiment, to look for a new design, depending on what liberty, what freedom you give to your model. Because, for instance, here, I said no much changes, try to keep the overall shape. But you can say, okay, from that, do me something better, like impress me. And it works with this software. It is free for now, today, because, it's very hard to say things for the future. Usually speaking, the informations are valid for a week or something, and then it changes so fast. But at least today, because I've tried it today, it is still free. But you've got to enroll in the wish list. But it's very nice to test this one. And if you don't want to pay, or if you say that you've got a powerful enough computer to run your own AI engine, so you can do it with Pinocchio, for instance. So it's quite easy. You download the engine, and then you can run it from home, from yourself. And you've got several features that you can test. For instance, changing your voice or making music out of artificial intelligence, or doing some funny pictures, with shapes and so on. And you can do the same with Stable Diffusion. Then you download the. So if you're interested into it, I can explain to you, but you will find a lot of tutorials to explain how to do that. Then you download the from GitHub, the engine. and then you will have it on your own computer, and then you can run your test 3D and without paying anything, because it will be on your computer. But then you will have to add more components to have results similar to Leonardo. So it's very rough. The basic installation is very rough. And then if you add some elements, some libraries and so on, you will have better results. What is interesting from that, I heard that in big, in the big office, they are doing that. They're using this kind of app, and then they feed it with their own projects. And this was a very interesting question to say, how would I do with my projects? So you can feed it with your projects as references, and then you make it run, and you will have variations from your projects. It's quite fun. Or you can hybrid your project with somebody else's. It's a new way of working now. I don't know if you've got any questions or it's okay. So second branch is analysis. This second branch is maybe more dangerous. The first branch is so creating images, having rendering. So we can be worried about these who are working into the rendering industry, because very soon it's going to be so easy to do render. It's for now it's not exactly what you want. When you've got a very accurate idea, very, very precise idea, it's hard to get the result that you want. But it's today. I mean, maybe next week or next month, it's going to be super accurate. And whatever you will have to say, it's going to be the result. So, okay, for this industry, it could be a problem. But, that using DALL-E or Midjourney alongside your project design, your design, is quite nice. Maybe we will talk about it afterwards. Second branch is analysis. Analysis is, I think, the most important game changer, because with that, you will be able very fast to do tedious work. That was a tedious work before. So you've got several tools popping up now, and so there are many. I put some names, but I will share my presentation so you will be able to go by yourself to see on site. You've got this one, Giraffe, for instance, that does a lot of analysis on the run. You've got this TestFit.io for building design. You've got this one, Spatial. So I really encourage you. So Spatial, I clicked on it. Spatial, I really encourage you to follow this Spatial thing, because it seems to be very promising for the future. It does a lot of analysis. You got this totally done with AI. It's a way of teaching it's really machine learning to teach the machine what is architecture, what is a room, what are the characteristics of rooms, how they are connected, their sizes, and so on. And then in the end, you will have a kind of grammar. And then the AI will be able to use that grammar to design. And look at this one. I didn't try it, so I don't know if it's only advertising, but it seems to be somehow promising, or at least dangerous. So you just click on your site. Then you say what kind of apartments you want, how many, what size. the typology, then what is related to mechanical, electric, plumbing, the map. And then you've got generative designs, so many proposals from one, you can pick one from many. Then you will have the energy consumption, analysis. Then you will have all the layouts automatically done in seconds. Okay, and a not too good render. So we will have to test if it does really that fast. But it's kind of scary. Also, maybe you know this office Finch. They are in Austria, and they are designing using Grasshopper, and I think they are using Dynamo now. Automatic design, automatic layout for apartments. They're doing that for I think 2 years. As I was following that, it's super impressive. And now they start to sell their solution. And I don't know if you remember this SpaceMaker AI when it went out. I think it's 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It was during COVID. And I remember that many people were very scared about that. So sketching, you've got the results in terms of apartments and so on. And then you will have exploring solutions. So you've got generative design. And this one. You've got noise, you've got light, you've got sun studies, you've got wind. And I did remember when I showed it the first time, everyone was saying, okay, we are done now. It's finished. We can do something else. And because it was doing, you know, site studies, wind, density, sky views, and so on, a lot of things. And then it disappeared. So it was kind of surprising to see it disappear. And it has been, in fact, swallowed or bought by Autodesk. And now it's Autodesk Forma. And Forma is free for students in architecture. And you can test it. It's super interesting to use because as it is using artificial intelligence, it goes very fast for, you know, what took so much time to calculate before, like noise, like sunshades, like lights, wind, and so on, temperature. And so they are using statistics. It takes like a few seconds to have those kind of results. And then you can go further and more detail, and it takes more time. But I mean, for sketching, it's very impressive. And also you can roughly design apartments so that in the end you will have the construction cost and possibilities and so on. So Forma, if you didn't test it, I really encourage you to do so. It's very, very easy to learn, and it's very easy to teach as well. I remember I was teaching Forma last week to engineering students, and they were saying that because they had a lesson just the week before how to do sun studies with Grasshopper, and they were struggling with Grasshopper for 2 weeks, and it was so hard for them, and they were saying that, oh my god, we have to render some studies, and then I showed them using format, and then it was like saving. So this is it. Draw Me a House is something that, are we going to tell the machine, please draw me a house, or is it somebody else that is going to tell us to, or not tell us to draw a house? So maybe I've got the first conclusion of that step, and maybe we can talk about that. Will AI eliminate architects? And it's interesting to see the I've done this what conclusion because it's quite easy to make. We can say that still architects have the thinking. They've got to think. They've got to think of what kind of question they will ask. They've got to think of what kind of results they will get. And I think the better they are, the better they will be able to do some very complex question, and this is opportunities, more complex question, more interesting tasks, and not being trapped on tedious work, that takes time and forever to do, like a rendering. Why do we have to take so much time to do a rendering if it's possible to have it in a minute? So maybe if it's so easy, then you will raise the level of our questions and do more complex questions. Threats could be that if it seems to be easy, then other people could say, okay, we will do it because it's just a question of prompting or putting the right things, in format, just click on in format, pop up, and it's done. So this is really a threat to have our job taken by others thinking that it's easy. And for me, the most important threat, in fact, is us, meaning that we are lazy, and the humankind is lazy, meaning that if they are not obliged to do something, they don't. And if the machine can do something for us, so we will use the machine. But the question is, what do we let to the machine? Do we let everything? Do we just lay and say, okay, do me that? And I like to use the image of the GPS. GPS, in your car, you can say, okay, I'm not obliged to learn how to go from point A to B. I can just let the GPS decide everything for me, and then I will not have, or I will use my capabilities to be able to move it into space. But never mind, I've got this tool, and it's okay for me. And I think it's nearly the same question that we have. If something does everything very nicely, why do we have to bother of struggling or developing capabilities? And as we are lazy, maybe we will have the answer. So the most threat for me is being lazy. The humankind is lazy. But I don't know, maybe you don't share this. This is what time is it? Yeah, maybe I've got some more behind, but maybe we can have a conversation now. I really would like to share with you and to have your thoughts from here. Oops.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
in a way, I feel that all these new programs can be super helpful, especially the ones that are doing analysis for architects. But yeah, on the other hand, I completely agree with everything you said, Margaret. I have the same fear. I didn't even do the research into these AI programs because I am so afraid that I will get lost in there. Yeah, I had no idea how many programs and what are the opportunities. And I feel like with the programs that we had and we use, we are in control, and they're just there to help us express our ideas and visions. But now we don't have that space anymore. It's like we are sitting and waiting for someone else to do that for us, and we are waiting for the result. We are not designing anything anymore.
It's not totally true, as it's more like a conversation when you test it, because in fact the result goes very fast and comes back very fast. So if you're not satisfied, then you try something else, and the risk is, in fact, is to spend a lot of time with the software, trying to get the best, because it also gives you new ideas and fresh ideas, and then you reprompt saying, okay, maybe I will go this way, and then it's infinite solutions. And this is what also is fascinating. It's like infinite solutions, and it's always better or different or something that you wouldn't think about it, and then and it's like a hole that you are, or maybe how it's called, the water sand, that you can drown in it, because you try, because so many possibilities, in fact, and maybe this isn't the best, but sometimes you got good results, I would say. And I had a work from a student, and she compared hand drawings and the one did with Midjourney, and in the end, Midjourney was always better, and it was like she was saying, I wanted to demonstrate the opposite, and in the end, I see that Midjourney is better than me.
It's, for me, it's scary that I don't know. For example, I like the first historical context that you offered us, like a big perspective. And for architects, we pass from AutoCAD, Beams, Revit, and ArchiCAD, and then boom, like exponential, like
Yeah.
I don't know, hundreds of tools. I don't know if you can also use artificial intelligence like ChatGPT to help you to use them, because it's crazy. It's not possible. Like I don't know. I need to do a 3D with different options from this picture or from this 3D, and maybe the artificial intelligence can tell you how to use artificial intelligence, because if
Absolutely, yeah.
for one human, it's, or maybe artificial intelligence consultancy, or because it's too much tools. But I support that the idea that in architecture the work is from the first call with the client to give them the keys. It's not I don't know how to say it. You can't say that we are going to lose our job. We can make it. I mean, our job is to make decisions, to make decisions.
Yeah.
ID can help you to take good decisions or bad decisions. Okay, you can copy and paste design, but you can do it also in the past. We have been making it a lot, so I like the whole big perspective. Thank you.
And what do you think? How will the profession change with which turn we will take.
What I've seen is that big companies like Zahadid or Big are using already the AI, and right. So they are using AI for climate, like Former, as I showed you. They're using that, and they're using it also to replace, because in Big, what I've seen is that they were building a lot of models, a lot of scale models, and they were picking scale models from that, and now they're using Midjourney or DALL-E to do this kind of work. So to have a lot, it's like generative design. They were doing generative design before by hand and by cutting, the form, the blue form, and now they do it with a computer. So I believe that the process is quite similar. The thing is, there are big companies and they have a lot of people in the company, and maybe the difference will be for small companies. If you are an office with 2 or 3 people, maybe it's going to be harder. I don't know. This is something that I don't really know how it will change for small companies. I think for big companies, they will embed artificial intelligence, and they will put that in their process. For small companies, I don't know.
Yeah, yes, because even in the coding, like in Microsoft, the 60% of the code is already done by AI. So
yeah.
The downside is very obvious, but yeah, I was even thinking it's gotta be harder to find a job after graduating.
It depends on if you master those softwares, and if you know precisely how to prompt, or maybe do the rendering from a very basic shape.
Yeah, I'm a very active user of Midjourney and ChatGPT. So.
A very general dilemma I see is on the one hand, like artificial intelligence and machine learning and everything gives you the opportunity to boost your visions, come up with a lot of creative ideas. But in general, we are living in a world with limited resources. So I think there will be a gap, or like the scissors will go apart from having the infinite capabilities of designing stuff, but in the end everything is getting scarce. Like even wood, that is like a regenerative resource. Yeah, trees can grow and these kind of things, but also wood for construction is there's a shortage, right? And we can't cut down the trees because otherwise we it's not working. Sand is becoming a scarce resource, and a lot of other things. So maybe the future for architects, maybe it's hard to imagine. I'm not an architect, I don't know. Maybe there will not be so much about like new construction because we simply don't have the resources. Maybe we need the existing, stock of buildings that we have and need to, remodel them. I could imagine that AI could also be a tool for that as well. Maybe feeding in like images and 3D scans, and asking the artificial intelligence what we could do with this, like how could we like remodel this building so it fits the needs of people also maybe in 30 years and so on. But I don't know if you also see this gap, like do we need so many new buildings? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a huge question. And also about limited resources, it's also about the resources that the machine is using to learn. And the thing is, they are saying that even ChatGPT, others, don't have enough resources now to grow up. And so they will reuse the resources that they produced themselves. And this is crazy. So we are producing drawings with this AI, and the AI will use those drawings because they will be out of resources. And, it's a turnaround. Andrea wanted to say something.
Yeah, it's me. So I wanted to say that as two things. First of all, that I have been using AI since like a year ago right now. And I think that it's a tool that we must use. It's like, for example, it's like passing from drawing by hand the plans for the houses that maybe you architects, I'm an industrial designer, but maybe you architect work like 5 hours to have a drawing done, and then you had AutoCAD and you could do that work in 20 minutes. So it's a tool that you have to learn to use because it's here and it's here to stay. And second, I want to say that AI, it's not only evolving in images. You have all other fields like text, sound. Maybe you have an AI that helps you reading PDFs, helps you with efficiency in your work, and that's also another thing that it's here to talk about, I think.
Yeah. Yes, it's true that what was presented was very much limited, and we've got a lot of uses, and AI is everywhere since a long time for in our telephones and in softwares and so on. And I've met some construction companies who are using AI for ground analysis, for instance, and it's very useful to just to prepare the construction sites. Also for archaeologists, and of course in many domains they use AI, but we are less touched by that, and because what you were saying is it's very important, because first of all we were talking about productivity, and AutoCAD and other tools were helping us on productivity. And now it's about creativity. And I think this is where we are a bit worried about, because productivity is okay. We can improve productivity. Creativity is what defined us. And this is maybe the question that we have.
I'd like to comment that and then pass the mic to Guillermo. Just with one phrase, that when the internet came in, it was like the arena that's of attention and of competitiveness in all fields, design, architecture, had been widened. Like the barrier of entry had been lowered, but the competitiveness has risen. And it's what I feel is happening with AI, that the barrier to entry to do something involved with architecture, to generate a plan, is lower, and more people can do it, but then with that the competitiveness rises. And now Guillermo, because I've taken your spot.
Yeah, I still worried about the number of apps and the number of tools that there is. And for example, in 5 years or in 10 years, how many programs there will be with this technology? In 1 year, it is like a lot. I don't know if it is something that is gonna unify all of them or something like this. And what is your because I think that you spend more time learning new tools and new programs than just doing it with other. I don't know. I have no idea. So what are your advisors?
It's whenever something new happens, we try to replicate what the others are doing, just to say I can do it myself. So it's true that now it's very similar what we see. I think that in the very close future there will be some differences, and I really liked what Bartek said about the competition, because I think it's really true that the ticket to get in is at a very low cost, but then to rise to the top is going to be harder, as everybody will be in a way capable to do that. That's why I was referring to photography at the beginning of the presentation, because it was exactly the same thing. When photography was available for everyone. Was like, okay, no need to be an artist, no need to learn, no need to do some long, practicing of painting or drawing, because you can do that with your camera. But in the end, after a century, we see that there are photographers, professional photographers, and they've got eyes, they've got something that maybe we don't have. And with the same object, with the same tool, they are doing something really different. So maybe it's going to be the same. I don't know if I do answer your questions, but it's maybe looking back to the past and how some I don't like to use tool. That's why I was hesitating. Mainly for that, I think it's less a tool than a process, and it could be more interesting to say a process than a tool. But looking at that, because maybe we would have some answers. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I was watching like a video about AIs and regarding the painters when the photography came to the world, and they were like, okay, there will be no need for paintings because you already can photograph, but that's caused different styles to occur, like cubism or expressionism. So it changed the whole idea of painting. So maybe it will also have the same impact on architecture or on other fields that AI has involved with. So, but the change is inevitable. That's for sure, because it's already occurring. So, yeah.
I'm reading what Jan's saying. Yeah, that's it. Painting didn't disappear. So in a way, it's a layering of techniques and new things. I think it's going to be on, maybe not on top, but with other techniques. And as you said, you're going back to hand drawings, and maybe then you will say, okay, I will put my hand drawing, give it to the to feed my AI, and then I will have something new. We don't know. We've got, because it's so new. I mean, it's just 1 year. 1 year is nothing. 1 year to, and it's very, very short to think about what is it going to be, or, but it's really it pushes us to rethink of what are our skills. What do we want to do? For me, it's interesting for that. It's that we have to question ourselves, saying, okay, where am I in this context, and what do I want to do? How do I want to survive this thing?
Yeah, thank you for the very interesting talk. I have to say I'm quite scared about like how fast it develops. It's really scary, and also like I'm not quite sure if it will actually lead to like a better environment, because like at the moment we already see like cheap building companies who just like have like their main focus on making money and building fast flats. And yeah, if we like make this process even more efficient, like I'm just not sure if we will get to like results that will be beneficial for our built environment. And I think like this will have a much more impact than like photography and paintings, because you know it's like our environment that we are living in. And yeah, I think it's really scary, but it's also nice like to see now what's already possible, because I since ChatGPT I just used it like a little bit because I was curious, but I never really looked deep into what programs already developed. So thank you very much for this very scary but cool insight.
And what about if you were in charge of teaching or not teaching? those technologies? Because this is the question I have. Do I have to teach that to students, to fresh students, or not? What is your position about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You should teach it because the technologies are developing, and if we don't learn it, we are literally just living out of the competition. So it will just we will be somewhere in the past. So yeah, I'm very scared. I'm not gonna lie, but I try to be aware and see what's going on. I have like a annual subscription to all of them. Yeah, because like you should know your enemy and as a tool or whatever you call it, but I think we should be aware of what's going on as much as possible. So I think you're doing a great job by teaching it. So thank you very much.
I think it's very valuable to first learn about it, and then you can still decide if you want to use it, right? That's, I think, two independent things. And I could even imagine very well that, you know, in the future, there will be hybrids of using AI, but also maybe classical techniques, so that you say, okay, selectively, I want to generate for, you know, like the first draft that I'm making for a sculpture, I want to generate some first images, but then this process of sculpturing it myself or creating the sculpture, that I'm doing this still. You know, because you want to, and that's also what you like to. In the end, it's a tool, right? Like you can still say, I just don't want to use it. As long as people in the end, you know, want to look at the sculpture and it's interesting. That's, I think, the question. I think it just extends our capabilities.
Yeah, I would also say teaching is like probably totally necessary because we will have to deal with it in the future. But I also think it would be good if like the first, let's say, 2 semesters, people are not aware of like how they like students are sometimes lazy, and if there's like a cheap and easy way to get around doing analysis or whatever, they will definitely do it. I think it's very much necessary to first learn about how you could do it by yourself, because yeah, I don't know, like we had the same with the CAD programs, the CAD programs, for example. The first year we had to draw everything by hand, and I think it was very useful because you actually had to think about how is the construction working, how is this detail looking like, etc. And you couldn't just like copy paste it from, I don't know, a company. Very, very much necessary to first learn how to do it in an analog way by yourself.
Yeah, that's also exactly what I think. Because in the end, we will have to decide what is good and what is not good in the process. And that's why I like to use process, because process, you've got an entry point, a process, and then an exit point. And we've got to understand what is getting in the machine and what is getting out. And our skills and knowledge and everything is there to know what is at both ends of the process. Even if we don't really master what is inside, because it's mainly a black box, and it's hard to know what is inside the black box. But at least we try to keep those two endings. Guillermo, you wanted to?
No, Jan. No?
Wanted to say something, because I see like
I know that we will have to live with the black box, no? Like like a lot of really bad building design has been done with copy paste with AutoCAD or BIM. This is gonna happen again with these tools, but there is no other way. I mean, it's a duty for you to teach it and to use it. No, I think.
Yeah. And you know, using Forma, for instance, for sustainability and context analysis, it was very interesting for students to realize that some configurations are very bad to, that their reputation is to be good architecture, and you see that you don't get light, for instance, at the very low level, or the sound or the wind inside some places is very bad for. So I think using this at least helps to understand what is going on, and how you could have a better architecture without with avoiding, or maybe what I like also as ideas, because I think we will have to create and to dig for more new ideas. One of them is like micro energy harvesting, saying that maybe we've got some energy to pick up from very tiny places, like putting small windmills, on buildings. It has been done before. It was a kind of not very successful, but now you can have it. And what if it could be possible to have those little windmills on buildings and produce electricity, and that the configuration of your buildings helps it, like dragging the wind and having something. It's maybe we can have more sophisticated questions to.
Yeah, for example, you described like two branches, like concepts and optimization. One branches could be like just learning for learning, like just learning, like to understand new concepts through this artificial intelligence. No, this the sound, whatever, like a tool to learn fast as.
Yes, that's it. It's all about real time. Real time is, we didn't say the word till now, but real time is really something important to think of, because it changes also the way that you have your dialogue with your clients, with your collaborators, with everyone. Real time means that you can think and have the result, you can immediately, but this speed also can make a problem. This is but Jan and Yasmin wanted to.
I just wanted to make a very quick last comment on the aspect of what we should teach, and if we should teach about AI. I think the point you made was basically, it's not only about learning how to use AI, but also how to learning about how the technology works in order to understand it and its implications. And I wanted to build up on that and say, maybe the thing that is even more important than learning about AI is learning about ethics. Because in a world where we can do everything, where we have like infinite capabilities, we need to even more decide as humans what we want to do and what we think is, equitable, fair for the people, that is good for the environment. So these kind of things. And I don't know how much you learn in architecture studies about ethics. I had a module when I was studying biochemistry about ethics in biosciences and these kind of things. But in the end, it's relatively short, and it's not so, so dominant. And you learn about how to craft like a genetically modified organism. But, who really controlled that this is not harmful for anything, right? And maybe for architecture, we need then similar things, yeah? Like, and that's something that's very often forgotten. And I think ethics doesn't really play a role in university education for the kind of natural sciences and also for creative disciplines. I think it's not there at all. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Please correct me.
No, you're totally right, and I blame myself. Or I don't do it enough. Yes, I don't know if
Yes.
it's Jasmine or Yasmin.
Yeah, it's Jazz. Yeah. Thank
Yes.
you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting. I just wanted to, it's a little bit connected to ethics, because, for example, I just used ChatGPT sometimes, and one thing which I kind of learned and know that ChatGPT does make mistakes, right? So there are these machines, those AI machines also have do mistakes sometimes, or like some data is not correctly implemented. And I wanted to ask, how do we know that those programs really calculate everything correctly? For example, when you mentioned with the wind, maybe it's not true. Like, how do we know that? Like, how is it controlled? Because that's something like a lot of those systems have been in place like for a short period of time, and it is very tricky to control them and to understand what is correct and what not. So if we kind of tend to believe machines because we open a program and we believe that this calculation is correct, but maybe it's not. I just want to raise this question a bit, and how we can like, who is trustworthy in this situation?
But it's so true and so important, and that's why I was saying we need skills and knowledge to know exactly what is going out of the machine. And when you were saying, I think it's Margaret would say that we've got to learn by hand first, or know a different way. I think this is a way to control that. If you did some calculation before, and you know just around what kind of result you can expect, and if the machine gives you something which is so strange, then you can say, okay, maybe it's. I love the term that is used for ChatGPT, which is hallucination. I like that. It's like the machine is dreaming for a result. I really love that term that it's used, and it's true. And because I had that for ChatGPT when I was trying to say what kind of, searching for references. And I was searching for references for certain topics, and it would give me some books and literatures and articles, and I was impressed. And then I was checking whether it was real or not. But I knew that the names were a bit strange. So as I was doing that before, I knew that the result was, it was ringing like, oh, something's wrong. And when I checked, it was untrue, totally hallucination. And I think for the results, as you said, maybe if we did practice a different way or learned a certain way, when we see the results, then we can maybe in some way we ring a bell saying, okay, be aware. And this is what we've got to fight for, saying we have an education that allows us to control what is going out of the machine. We have this education, and we've got to fight for.
It is exactly that which, in my experience, happens at my university, where we learn the manual tasks of calculating, for example, forces in the building, and then we learn how to do it in a computer, how to put it in the computer for it to calculate it. Just now it's one layer deeper, so it goes further. And unfortunately for me, I have to go right now. I'm very much thank you for coming and having the talk today. You all are welcome to stay here and talk longer. You have unlimited time on the Zoom. It doesn't have a time limit. But and I would like to do one last thing, which is to share the PDF that Jorge prepared. It is a PDF of lists of AIs that he also uses in his daily basis. Where is also the first one here to Guillermo. The first AI which is on the list is an AI for looking, which is used to look for other AIs. So there is the thing that I think you've asked for.
Thank you. Which one is it?
I'm just sending the PDF right now in the chat. Okay. And thanks is not to me, but to Jorge, who prepared the list. Oh no. I don't think I can send it, so I will send it as a link for download.
Okay. But this is a question, AI to look for or to control other AIs, because I have this question of, is there any software or AI to control that this is an AI photograph, for instance?
Okay, the link is on the chat, and thank you very much. You're welcome to stay, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Bartek.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for you.
Maybe before we bombard Laurent with further questions, like Laurent, what was your thinking about, like, I mean, you probably also want to have like, evening program at one point and stop discussing with like students and young professionals. Can we ask more questions, or can we discuss a bit further with you, or like what was your thinking?
Yeah, if you're okay, we can carry on. It's super interesting to share that, because I've got so many questions, and I really wish to have feedbacks and share what you think about this topic, because it's true, it's quite new, and we have to think of what happened before, and because I followed the rising of these new technologies and BEAM and so on, but I didn't see the changes that we are living at the moment. It's so it's so important. And I don't know if you feel the same, or just to say you can live without it, but this question of ethics, I mean, it's something I didn't address yet, and I think I will have to go into it. What I was fearing, and it's in my conclusion, it was about the laziness of people, and the way that as we are lazy by nature, even if we try not to be, but it's true that so is it a way to just let it go and say, okay, I wouldn't fight forever against it or for it or with it, because it's easier not to. It's so easy. I don't have to write my mails. I just put a few words and it's going to be automatic. I don't need to draw or to design. I just prompt a few things, but it's so I only have questions. So I'm looking for your answers.
I
think for me personally, the things that I'm not very skilled, I like to use it because I don't have to develop the skills. But in things that I already know, I feel very jealous of it. So I feel like it's taking away my place to create, and I'm like, this is mine. I'm not sharing it with you. Because I tried for like the emails, or I don't know, that I feel okay when I use it for writing emails, but I don't feel okay when I use it for writing like essays or using it for my thesis, because I feel that this is my space to create and I don't want to share it. For emails, it's fine. It's like a formal thing, and I don't put my soul in it.
Yeah.
And so I still think that I want to like keep the ownership of the work. So I don't know. But besides laziness, people I think are also ambitious. So I don't know how the two things will survive the AI. So I don't know. But yeah, I feel very jealous of the creative space. The technical part, I'm completely fine. So I'm like, okay, this is fine. But for example, if I was a 3D artist, I wouldn't feel very happy to use it. So I don't know. But it's also interesting to see how the generations after us who are not taught the things that we are taught, how are they gonna act on that?
Yeah.
Because again, with the drawings, for example, my teachers used to like work completely manually, but I also like it. But photography also a lot. Even in workshops, like every year we have photography with analog cameras, and it's like so much fun. So I don't think that the humanity will give up the fun so easily.
That's it.
Yeah.
What I really liked, especially about ChatGPT, for example, because I use it more than the other programs, I feel like it is a very good search engine, and I used it to do research for articles and books, and it helped me a lot when writing my thesis because I didn't know where to start. And when you search on Google, for example, I don't think the results that you get are that good. And with ChatGPT, you can be more specific, and even with some quotations or something like that, you can find who is the author and even find the links for the websites, for the projects, books, whatever. So in that way, I feel like it is very useful. And also, Margaret, that you mentioned that we are returning to these analog things. I feel like as much as the technology is developing, I feel that people are now more than ever seeking that connection. I don't know if those are our roots, but now it's very, I mean, even popular to use analog cameras, to use DVD players or whatever. So I feel like maybe with this AI development, we will return even more to doing things manually. So it's just matter of sensibility. I think that's what people prefer.
Yeah, this is a strong idea, as if we save time on tedious tasks, we will have more time to use, for instance, all cameras and so on. So maybe it's something we can also think about. If you can go faster to do something which has no added value for intelligence, and just a question of doing things. So if you can save that time to do whatever, but this is also, going into this idea of being, it's a very much philosophical. So doing less efforts, have a more enjoyable life with less efforts.
But we're not doing this. I'm very critical of this point. Like, we started with computers and we're sitting in the office for 8 hours and everything is so much faster now. The programs are so much more powerful. And what happened, we're sitting just more in the office and we're looking more at screens and we're doing more. So I think it's a false hope, I think. I think just doing more work or getting more work done, which is less meaningful to us than before.
Yeah, I do agree with you, because there was a study, I can send you the study that shows that before, so like I think it was 20 years ago, we spent 2 hours to do one task, and now we've got only like 10 minutes to do the same task. And we don't have more spare time, meaning that we've got more tasks to do. and we spend less time to do something. And this is, yes, more stress because, you know, if you can take 2 hours to do something like a drawing, and then you spend 10 minutes or even less, and meaning that you've got to do more drawings and more things, and you've got the point for that. And this is ethics too. So I put it on my list of ethics subjects to take care of. Yeah, well,
And do you think that the regulations should be applied as soon as possible, or should we like wait to see how it like develops? Because I think the governments are way far behind the technologies, and it's interesting to see if the like communities in specific fields will come up with their own regulations before the governments comes to it. Like it's also connected to the ethics, what we think is right and what we think is wrong, and like
yeah.
unacceptable.
I've heard something which was counterintuitive for me, but I thought it was interesting, saying that if somebody says we've got to wait for, it means that if he does that, the others competitors will take over.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
waiting can be something they wouldn't do. And the other way, they were also saying that if someone says, oh, this technology is very dangerous, it means so we've got to wait for. It means that what I do has a lot of value. So you've got to give me more money to develop it and to control it. So in a way, you know, there is one place where it says, okay, we've got to wait for it. But on the other hand, it says, okay, give me money to give me more money.
I wanted to say that I used the ChatGPT for my first time now, like studying, like Melissa said that this was really useful for her thesis. For me, it was really, really useful to study because I had like an assistant, like a professor with me. I have like 2 screens, and with one I was studying, and with the other one was asking like even silly and stupid question, but things that can help you a lot to understand, not fast, but better. And I think that if we use it to make better things, not just fast things, it's really, really nice. And the day that can we do like the memories, like the test of the project with ID, with artificial intelligence, because it would be amazing.
Just I wanted to say before, did you test Bard? You know, the Google Bard, which is like ChatGPT, but from Google.
No.
No,
Which
you
one?
could use it because it has less hallucinations as it's using Wikipedia and lots of database. And when you are looking for references, I think it's more accurate. Bard.
B-A.
B-A-R-D.
And I think the danger with ChatGPT is like it gives you only it also studies you and tells you the things that he thinks you expect them to tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I was like working on a project and I didn't know the tool that well, and I asked ChatGPT like, how can I solve this problem? But it came up with a solution that doesn't apply to that program, and it applies to a very different thing. So it came up with a logical solution, but it doesn't apply. So I think that, and it also acts like the majority of people. So the majority of people are not like, don't make the best decisions.
And I saw a video about that. I don't know. I would like to make the test to see if it's true or not. But the last version of ChatGPT is able to read images. So you can upload images and you say, what is it? And somebody tested with an optical illusion. And ChatGPT said, okay, it's an optical illusion. Okay, and you've got those optical illusions where there are some shapes, and you believe that the color is different, but in the end it's the same color. So you would expect from ChatGPT to say the correct answers, that colors are all the same. And in this test, ChatGPT said colors are different.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the question was, how can it say that the colors are different? Because ChatGPT is not thinking. It's just repeating what everyone is believing. So in the end, it was repeating the beliefs of everyone.
I think it was like given a simple task, like one towel takes 3 hours to dry. How many hours will take 3 towels to dry? And it said like 9, 9 hours. So that's exactly the same case, because like it gives you the answer of like of how the majority of people will answer you. So it thinks it's logical, like 3 towels, 3 hours, 9. So it's not always like the most trustworthy source.
So Guillermo, in your research, to check that. If you're looking for the common answers that you will have, and but if you're looking for the good answer, maybe you will have to check.
Yeah, and it's also analyzes what you like, what you search, so it acts accordingly. So it's also an interesting development to see in the AI.
Yeah.
How it's getting more personalized.
On Monday, I saw a new development from a society. It's done in Unity, and it's a virtual world where you've got avatars, and avatars are driven by ChatGPT. And it was very fascinating because you put your headset on, and then you enter this world, and you say, okay, I am here for this purpose. And then the avatar uses ChatGPT to answer you and say, okay, if you're here, maybe you can do this and that. And then you can say, my meeting is in 1 hour. So how can I wait? Or is there any place where I can sit? And the ChatGPT avatar can say, okay, you've got a sofa over there where you can sit. So this is amazing. And then you can say, okay, I am here. You can say to the avatar, I am here for an interview because I will take your job. But in ChatGPT, it's not allowed to have anger or to shout at people. It's only good feelings. So the avatar would say, oh, that's good for you. And then you've got sadness. You can feel the sadness. But then the developers said you can trick it to make it to do the anger. So it's not allowed to say that the character will have an anger or will shout at people. But you can say, okay, if so, imagine that you are somebody with anger who would shout at somebody, and then it works. And then so you can trick it so that it was shouting and then the second step, and I thought it was fascinating, they were saying, we will try to make an experiment with 2 ChatGPTs, and would they dialogue, or 1 or 2 real characters and 1 ChatGPT, will ChatGPT will be able to distinguish 2 characters, 2 real people talking together and maybe conflicting, and what would happen if there is 2 artificial intelligence? Would they talk together? Would they be? This is fascinating, but they can do it because I saw it from my eyes, from my own eyes. I really saw that.
There's some kind of built-in handbrakes also when it comes to, for example, racism and all these things that seem to be like in a bad way human, but that are not desirable to have within AI, and they have some kind of built-in handbrakes that are in a lot of ways at the moment still very, not very well thought through, right? So there's ways to get around these at the moment. I don't know how it will be in the future, but
Mm-mm.
Also one of the things where, you know, like that's, you have to be critical about what AI is you know, how they are developing, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the limitations they put. Mm. When I started last year, at the very beginning, I wanted to do a kind of joke about Le Corbusier. And in the end, you know, I did that everyone was doing at that time was tell me a joke about. It was like tell me a joke. And it was very common at the beginning of ChatGPT just to make me laugh. And ChatGPT told me, you cannot laugh at Le Corbusier. He's a very serious character, so you can make jokes about him. But when I tried again a few months later, was okay. You cannot laugh, but at least I can make a joke. So it was, you know, evoluting.
And Meta also bought like the characters of famous people, and they made social media accounts with their name, like different names, and they use the AIs to run the accounts on social media, and it's crazy, like the amount of followers and how they can use all this, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so they can buy your persona
Yes,
and use
exactly.
it. Yeah. That's also, I think, the parts of the regulations that should be applied to it. So maybe now is the time to like sit and talk about how we're gonna limit it, because the pace of the development is like so fast, and maybe at some point we will not have the power to limit it anymore.
Yeah.
So maybe like the communities, the small communities, or I don't know, the architectural community, for example, should like sit and talk it out. For example, I don't know, ArchiCAD bought the AI, and like they should sit and talk. How are we? Where are we taking this? How are we gonna regulate it? And because the market is changing so fast. So yeah.
Yeah, but the problem with talking is you've got to talk to people who at least have a basic knowledge of what is it about. And the problem that I face very often is people don't know anything about and they just discovered that AutoCAD was out. And like it was this year, somebody told me, oh, I discovered that BIM is existing. Oh my God. So how can you talk? You know, they're coming from so far away. And but maybe, yeah, you know, so far, or because maybe we've got to find one specific angle, and ethics could be a very good angle to start the conversation. What is the purpose, and how would it affect people, and how does it, you know, because it's always does everyone is allowed to access these kind of technologies, and maybe you will see that it was always the same one were losing, in fact, and left behind. And this is maybe the questions we've got to address. But it's not easy. It's really not easy, because we really have to know how does it work, and then what does it do precisely. And never forget that this is an industry, and some people are making a lot of money out of it, and they are pushing that very hard to make more money.
Concerning the business implications of like AI, when you are showing the many different AIs that are already, you know, out and can be used by the public, my impression is they are really sprouting out like mushrooms out of the forest, right? my question is like, it's a considerable amount of work to program this kind of thing, and it needs like expert knowledge. And I think there is a limited number of experts around the globe that actually can, you know, do the technical works that are needed to create this. Do like different AIs have the same technological basis, or can you say how many different, let's say, unique technical engines are in the background of the available AIs on the internet? Is it like hundreds already, 100 different independent approaches, or are they all based on 2 or 3, let's say, Midjourney and ChatGPT that they run on like 2, 3, 4 engines?
As far as I know, there is a few bases that are common to all engines, and then it's going different ways to optimize things. It's like the research engine, you know, it's nearly the same base, but then you've got optimizations that really make the differences. And it's true. I've heard this morning on the news that engineers are very much spotted. There are just a few on Earth, and that is true. But again, what is hard for me to have a global picture of that, I don't know precisely what is happening in medicine, for instance, or in other topics outside of architecture. I've got a very blurry vision of how it's developed for like in health, so in other topics. But I will try to have more precise answers about that. I will dig it. So it's not an easy question.
All right, do we have more questions? Otherwise,
so thank you very much. It was very nice meeting you and talking with you.
Thank you so much.
Maybe you can just say one word, because Bartek didn't tell me what kind of group are you?
Who wants to answer this?
Maybe Jan is more like the longest involved.
Jan, it's always you answering these questions.
Like who we are. So Bartek, like, did he tell you that we are part of like an international network that is called MED's Meeting of Design Students? He said it.
Yeah. Okay, and how did you guys meet or group together?
So it's basically an organization that goes back to 2010, and it was starting as having one workshop for architecture and design students per year, which is always happening in a different country, and it's a workshop that is normally like 2 weeks long, where between, let's say, 100 and 250 architecture and design students and young professionals are meeting to work on practical projects. And around that, like, first idea of a workshop, like a whole network was developing around. And now we have a lot of different initiatives. For example, we have an initiative called MED's Travel, that it's about, like, let's say, educational travels to interesting places, where like local teams of volunteers are putting together like a program. And we also have an initiative called MED Studio. Maybe that's something for Guillermo to talk about. You're involved with MED Studio more than me, right?
No, I'm not involved, but
I am.
Yeah, maybe you want to pitch it a little bit, yes.
So basically, MED Studio is an opportunity for everyone who is involved, designers and architects both, to work on competitions together. So we do firstly research of competitions, then we decide which ones we want to participate in, and then in teams we, as Med Studio, do our projects both in design competitions and in architecture.
Very good.
And what you have to know about METS is that we are basically like from everywhere. Like I think more than 40 different countries are parts of, or people from more than 40 different countries are part of METS. It's very international. I would say the geographical focus of most, let's say, participants is like Europe, but also we have a lot of participants from India. We had some from Canada in the past, even from Australia. So it's like, yeah, like a big exchange, and like these gatherings when we're meeting, let's say in reality for some of the formats, like for example the METS workshop or the METS travel, that is always, you know, part of the fun, like international exchange. We, like some of us just came back 2 weeks ago from Belgrade in Serbia.
Yeah.
Where we had our network conference called METS Forum, which is also one of our, let's say, annual events, that we were so happy and lucky that Milica was, who is also here in the chat, and maybe you can wave with your hand,
Yep.
who was organizing this, and everything is volunteer organized. So we are not, you know, like remunerated in any way or form. It's an informal network where people say they want to start an initiative, and then we're working out together how it works. People, groups form in order to make it happen, and that's how it has been, yeah, in the past years. And the let's say wider network is maybe around 3,000, 5,000 people who had been part of METS events in the past. So it's like let's say a big international community, but there's also like a dropout rate as soon as the people, you know, have their own, let's say, job or their own business. It's mostly students, but yeah, there's also some people who have been around already for quite a while.
Well, very good. Please send me. I think I've found a website. I'm not sure it's yours. It seems to be yours because it really fits the description. But
the website is not very updated.
Yeah.
But if you have Instagram, that would be the best source right now to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And can we keep contact with you? I'm like very interested in this
Oh yeah,
topic.
please.
And
Yeah, sure. So Bartek's got my mail, and from that, yes, you can contact me.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
great, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So have a good evening, and or maybe good day, or good night, depending on where you are.
Thank you.
on Earth.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
see you next
Bye.
time.
Have a good evening.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.